Hi, welcome back. I just want to say welcome to the top of Mount Lemmon. This video is going to be a little different because we are going to film on the top of Mount Lemmon. I have taken a break from my hiking because I think there's something important that I want to share with you. And that is one, why it's so important to push yourself out of your comfort zone, and two, why it's important to try hard things. Those two things alone are really going to push self-growth. And then I'll share with you the one thing that I started doing that has changed my life significantly in so many ways. The two things that we can all do for ourselves, which will make the greatest impact in our self-growth, is to try something different and push ourselves to do the hard things. If we do those two things, we are almost guaranteed success. Trying something different gets you out of the comfort zone, and it changes your perspective on how you're thinking about things so that you can actually move forward into your life. You can make progress where you weren't making progress before because you're taking on this different perspective. And it also increases your adaptability to change. Change is always going to happen. Like, the only thing constant in life is change. The only thing constant in business is change. You will hear this phrase and saying a lot, and sorry, the camera's kind of wiggling around. You're on a selfie stick today, but you're going to hear this a lot. But the only thing that's constant is change. And so if you can build that adaptability to change, you're going to be able to process things a little bit faster and move a little faster, or even change your behaviors. And this is where I really hone in on. You'll be able to identify behaviors that in yourself, maybe habits or behaviors that you're not liking, and quickly adapt and change those into something that you do like. But it all starts with our ability to adapt change. And that starts with getting out of our comfort zone, which starts with small things. So brush your teeth with your left hand if you can. Take a different route. Go to a new restaurant, try a new food, try a new hobby or skill. There are so many different ways to introduce change into our lives, but if you can introduce change, and if you can introduce change consistently, you will be much more adaptable to change when it really does hit you hard. How we live our life is really, the majority of it is a bulk of habits. It's habits that we have adapted and taken with us every single time. So habits to get up, habits to win, just whether you get up or sleep in, or whether you're making coffee or drinking tea or whatever it is, our brains like to function as much as possible on habits because habits require a lot less energy and a lot less power consumption. But it is also a survival instinct. If our bodies are functioning on habits, then we can go into a lower energy state. If you haven't read it already, I would suggest the book, Power of Habits. But basically, our body functions on a series of habits. We just tend to have the same things that we do every single day, and the same thoughts or the same reactions that pop up. So when something happens, let's say I got cut off, if my natural habit is to get angry, I'm going to feel triggered and angry. If my habit is to be cool and calm about it, then I'm going to be cool and calm about it. But those habits really deep into our behaviors in that example that I just shared with you. Why is it important to try something different? Trying something different pushes you out of that habit cycle. It pushes you to get out of your comfort zone, and it pushes you to really kind of take a different approach, really stop and think about what it is that you're doing. The other reason why you want to try something different every single day is because it really kind of pushes you to be more open to change. Being open to change is a skill set. I would argue it's a skill set. I feel like a lot of us, if you are not adapted to change, or if you have a difficult time adapting to change, a lot of it is because you are very, very comfortable in your comfort zone and it's difficult to get out. But by pushing yourself to do something different, a little different every day, whether it's brushing your teeth with a different hand or taking a different route to school or work or wherever it is you're going, just trying these little tiny different things kind of pushes your brain to a different area where change becomes more acceptable and much more easily adaptable. And then as you push through these moments where change becomes more adaptable, if you continue to change larger and larger things, then you will find that while it's still never going to be super easy, right? That's just, let me just be honest there, but it will be easier because you'll start to think, you know what, I can get through this, and you know what, I can get through this, you know what, I can get through this, and that's going to stick with you. So pushing through those moments of change is super helpful. That's why you want to make little changes every day. I would say it feels really weird to sit on top of the mountain and film. This is news for me. So I guess this is me getting out of my comfort zone. The other thing you want to do is to try something hard. Trying something hard really triggers our brain to the concept that maybe hard things aren't so hard. It lets us push ourselves to a direction that we learn, and this is really what we're teaching ourselves, is that we're capable of overcoming difficult challenges. If you're trying one hard thing, whether it's a really hard, difficult workout, or I would like to say exercise is probably the easiest hard thing to do. But if you're trying a hard thing and you're really pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, you're trying something difficult, what you're doing is you're preparing your body and you're preparing your mind to understand that challenges can be overcome. What that does for you in the long term is when you are working on a goal or a particular so let's say it's a business or a project or whatever it is, and you bump against those challenges, you're going to be able to push past those a little bit easier because you're going to think in your head, you know what, I've endured other things before, or I can you're going to have built that self-confidence to help you endure whatever it is that you're facing. Trying hard things helps you learn to trust yourself so that you know that whatever it is that you're going to be trying to do, that you can do the thing. Let me just share with you the one thing that I did, the one thing that really just kind of changed the total trajectory of my life, and that is hiking. I'm not sure if you would have guessed, but hiking completely changed the trajectory of my life because it did a couple of things. Number one, I learned that I was capable of way more than I thought I was. My very first hike was an 8-mile, I think it was about 8-mile hike. And I had not gone hiking at all. It took literally like 6 hours for me to get through this thing. Might have been 5 hours, but it was the longest I've ever hiked or moved my body. And it was just crazy. I would say I was super exhausted at the end of it, but the knowledge and the feeling of having gone through this really difficult thing for me, at that time it was difficult for me, was just so empowering. It just made me feel like, oh my God, I can do hard things. I can get through hard things. And I'm gonna tell you, it brought on an entirely new, different type of respect for my body because my body had amazing endurance. And that actual respect was nailed in on my third hike. It was my second or my third hike. I can't recall which one. So my friend asked me after the first hike, which honestly, it was a pretty easy hike in retrospect, but for me, because it was new to me, it was extremely challenging. She asked me, what hike do you want to do? So I go to All Trails and I search for like the hardest hike I can find. And I think this hike was like 16 miles and it was all uphill for like 8 and then maybe 8 miles downhill. So it was a really tough hike and I got through the entire thing. But here's the caveat. Being new to hiking, I had not understood the mathematical equation to calculate how much water I needed to bring on the trail so I didn't die. And I live in Arizona. It gets kind of warm. So unfortunately, I did not bring enough water. I did not bring enough water for this hike, and I did not bring enough food, which meant I got through the 8 miles. I got to the top, and by the time I got to the top, I was completely out of water and I was completely out of food. I had 8 miles to hike back. And I don't know if you've ever hiked downhill, you will see how we have, what is it, jelly legs, where your legs start vibrating and shaking underneath you. We have this situation that happens to us as hikers where we're going downhill for extended periods of time. I went downhill for those 8 miles with no food and no water, and it was crazy. I just kept pushing and I had to pee so bad because for whatever reason I had decided at the time that I could not pee on this trail. I don't know what was in my head about that. So I had to pee, I was starving, I was thirsty, and I had 8 miles to go and it was all downhill. And I pushed myself through and we got downhill and I got to the bathroom and I got to the water and I got to food and shelter, and I was of course crazy exhausted. But I will say this, that hike, while it was not of the best wisdom, and I am grateful that I was able to make it, especially since it was only my third hike. It was not like I was not an experienced hiker. And up to that, I had never done these long endurance exercises. It'd been like these short spurts of like doing an hour Zumba class or something like that. Or maybe an hour body combat, but not this 16 miles, 8-hour hike. And it did take 8 hours to get on and off of this trail. And so I got to where I needed to be and I got off, but I'm going to tell you this, my legs were vibrating so bad. Like, I don't know how I managed to continue to walk down that mountain as sad as my legs were shaking. But after I got off that and after I recovered, I had developed this entirely new respect for my body because it let me know, like, my body is capable of so much more than I can possibly even imagine. Like, I have no idea what this body can do for me. All I know is it can pull off what I would assume are miracles. Getting off a trail 8 hours like that, and man, I know a lot of it is just crazy that my body can do that. Now, I will say that a lot of it is really up here, right? It's really how you're thinking and perceiving things. And I will tell you, during that 8-hour climb down, all I kept thinking was, I'm gonna get downhill and I'm gonna use the bathroom, I'm gonna get some water, I'm gonna get some food. And that literally was my focus. That entire 8 hours was just all about food, water, and bathroom. And I had my good friend hiking with me, and she was just such a trooper. She helped share water with me, so I did get a few sips here and there down. That just didn't want to take her water from her. So I was very cautious. I was like little tiny sips. So I was like not totally dead. It was just the craziest experience. But after that, my eyes just opened to like, oh my God, I can do so many things and I haven't even touched the surface. And so after that, it was just hiking every single weekend, crazy. We average hike was like 8 to 10 miles. And then we would do whenever we possibly could, like a 16 miler, a 20 miler, just an all day hike. And it has changed my life because not only did it help me with that, but it also pushed me to do things I thought I would never do. I would hear about people like hiking the Grand Canyon rim to rim, and I'm just like, oh my God, I can never do that. But guess what? Like last year, I hiked the canyon rim to rim to rim, and it was the most amazing experience. And I never would have had it if I had not pushed myself to do something hard and challenging. And I'm going to be honest with you, this last time I went to the canyon and I did the rim to rim to rim, I didn't really train for it. It was all like, I mean, because I hadn't done endurance hiking before, I wasn't super concerned about it. I knew I had the muscle build to get me through. Not the wisest, but it definitely would have been a lot harder than it needed to be. But I got through and I kept up with my friends. And when I did that rim to rim to rim, I'm telling you, I realized on the way out, I was like, you know what? I was like, my body is doing like, maybe my body's like 20% of me getting through this, right? My body is 20% of me getting up this mountain. Whether it's capable, whether I can lift my leg, whether things are functioning, that's like 20% of the situation. Because it was 80% mentality of, I'm gonna take one more step, I'm gonna take one more step, I'm gonna take one more step. And next thing you know, you are just out of the canyon. Like if I just kept focusing on getting onto like the next turn point, or if you do the zigzags, gosh, my brain's already not remembering them right now. Yeah, those like zigzag paths. Gosh darn, it's not coming to it. It's kind of funny. Anyways, when I was doing those, I just kept getting to the next one, and I would stop, take a break, and say, you know what, Chrissy, we're gonna get to the next one, and then we're gonna stop there. And I would just get to the next one, stop there. But these little things, like hiking, has just brought a whole new world for me, because it has really helped me understand that we as humans, like as people, we are capable of so much more than we give ourselves credit for. And it's all up here. It's really just up here. And if we can fix this, everything else can just get fixed too. And so I don't know, if you're able to get out to the outdoors and go on a hike, whether it's just a mile or 2 miles or 3 miles, I would suggest doing it. And if you're open to pushing yourself to maybe a little bit of a harder hike, I would suggest doing that one too, because I don't know, for me, it's just been a game changer. If you're not able to hike, just get outdoors. Being outdoors alone is so healing for the soul. It is so healing for our bodies. It does wonders for our psychology. We are not really meant to be boarded up into indoor boxes with lights and, you know, screens in front of us. That is just not what humans, what we are designed to do. We function in this society, but we function in this society. We thrive when we get to get the outdoors into our lives. And so even if you're just able to go sit on the back patio, or if you're able to go for a stroll or a walk, or just, you know, if you can't walk, you know, if you can get a way to get to a park or something, just be outdoors. And when you're outdoors, just really soak it in. Soak in the sounds, soak in the nature. If there's kids playing like you, soak in the noise of the kids playing by you. Whatever it is that you're experiencing, just soak it in. But yeah, for me, hiking has totally changed my life, and I can't recommend it enough, because it really has gotten me to where I am today. And where I am today is so much more successful than I was before I started hiking. And I realize there's a lot to play into it, but I really think that hiking started the mental mindset of realizing how much stronger I am and how much I can endure and how capable I am of things that I didn't realize I was even capable of. And so I think that's enough for storytelling. This video is kind of long, but I'm hoping that you can take a moment to really just kind of push yourself out of the comfort zone and push yourself to push yourself to try something new. It doesn't have to be big, but if you try these little things, I mean, I'm here for you. So if you have any questions about anything, just, whether it's productivity, systems, organization, I'm happy to help with that. Just leave a comment below. Or if you are curious about hiking, leave a comment below about that too. I'm a crazy hiker. I love all these crazy challenges. So I'm happy to share some good trails if I know them. I've only hiked a few locations outside of Arizona. But yeah, anyway, thank you for joining in the video, and I hope you have an awesome day.